What's up, you guys? Zach and Alicia here. Thank you so much for joining us on our 10 tips in celebration of our 10 years of dating. I hope they've been helpful to you as they have been helpful for us. I'm Zach.
I'm Alicia.
And we're super excited you guys are joining us for this episode. So we're going to break down the last 4 tips right now, as efficiently as possible. So I guess this would be tip number 7. Dating the right person should be easy. I'm going to turn this over to Alicia. Break this down for us because I knew it was easy to date me.
Yes, Zach is very easy to date. But I do think that most of the time, being in a relationship should be easy. I know people say that marriage is hard work, that relationships are hard work, and I do think that some of the time it's hard work and you go through some seasons where you have to put in more effort.
For sure.
But I do think that the majority of the time it should be easy. It should be easy to be together. It should be fun and enjoyable to be with one another, and then you build a foundation so that when things are difficult or you do need to put in hard work, you already have a very solid foundation. But I don't think it should be a struggle to stay with somebody. If you guys are fighting constantly, if it's hard to be with that person, if you're looking for excuses to stay with them or making excuses, it's probably not the right relationship.
What did we learn in high school? If it isn't fun and if it isn't easy, break up.
Yeah, that's what we learned.
Yeah, I think that's as simple as possible. It should be enjoyable. You shouldn't constantly have to feel like you're walking on eggshells or trying to keep the peace or fighting to hold this thing together. I've seen so many people struggle in that venue of life, just trying to keep the relationship going. And if you're the one having to keep it going, then maybe it isn't worth keeping because it should be relatively easy. I think all good things do take work. I do think it takes work and time and effort and commitment, but it should be genuinely easy and enjoyable and fun.
Yeah. And I think that's a good tip for dating because when you're dating, you want to get into a relationship with someone where it's easy to be with one another, where you enjoy each other's time. And there are certainly times in marriage where it can be hard. When you're married, you've made a commitment to this person. And so you definitely do put in the hard work. And I think you can get back to a point where it's easy and fun and lighthearted again because you guys have put in the work with one another. But I think this is a really great tip for when you're dating. If it's not easy, maybe it's not the right relationship. Yeah,
I think that's really good. Yeah. And as far as marriage goes, I don't know we're going that route, but as far as marriage goes, I do think in some aspects, marriage is a responsibility. So if it's not easy anymore, you need to
find a way to make it
it easy. What's a way that you could streamline the process, make it fun and enjoyable, and make sure that you're investing in your marriage and it's
together,
growing. I think so many people put this idea that marriage is if it's a garden, if it's a plant, or if it's a flower, you're watering it, you're giving it proper sunshine, you're taking care of it. And there's some work that goes into it. I think that's well said. Okay, what would be the next point?
Don't be afraid to be alone. So I think we've been... I think we've been talking a lot about dating and being in a relationship, but it's also okay to be alone.
Together, or just what do you mean?
I just mean you as a person. It's okay to not be in a relationship. It's okay to be alone. You find out who you are and you get to a point where you genuinely and accept yourself. It's okay to be alone. You don't have to be in a relationship.
Yeah, I think some people do crave community more than others, but I think to some degree you should be confident in yourself. You shouldn't necessarily feel the need that you need to be with somebody in order to ultimately be happy. You should be comfortable with who you are and comfortable being alone. I think it can be very challenging, and I think, it can be very challenging when you're dependent constantly upon somebody. Because then your happiness is dependent upon them, your overall well-being is dependent upon them. That can be exhausting to that other person, and, that can be very crippling and debilitating to you when you don't have that person around you to help you. So I think that's good. Yeah. Be comfortable being alone. And I think, like we said in the first episode, Adam and Eve, Adam was alone with God and Eve was alone with God before they were ever, together forever. And I think that alone time, them being alone, it helped them become self-aware about who they are. And when Adam became self-aware about who he was more open to being in a relationship with Eve.
And there's just so much pressure for people to be in a relationship,
True.
to be married, to have a significant other.
Ooh.
And
That's good. Keep going.
I just think it's okay to be alone. It's okay to be happy in who you are and be by yourself.
And I think this is a total side tangent, but I think that's huge. I think we put so much pressure on being in a relationship as a community, and that can cost you sometimes dearly. Like, it hurts you because it makes you feel like you're not as complete when you're not with somebody, or if you find yourself in a relationship just because you feel like you need to be with somebody, and that's not healthy.
Which goes back to my first point in video 1, which is, I just think you need to find someone to compliment you, not someone, I guess it's my second point.
Yeah.
Not someone that completes you.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next point, I think that was really good, is date for marriage. Right? Date for marriage. Break that down a little bit. I think that was kind of was that your idea?
Yeah, I think, when you date someone, it should be intentional. I know a lot of people say, I have to date a lot of different people to figure out what I like or what I don't like. And I'm like, I know who I like and who I don't like without having to date them. I can kind of figure out what I do and don't like. So when you date somebody, date for marriage. If you're going to date someone, it doesn't mean that you're going to marry them. But don't date them if you can't see a future with them. Don't date them if you can't see yourself marrying them. Once you see that that future is no longer there for you, you don't see marriage together, it's time to break it off.
Yeah, and this gets really complicated because there's different opinions about this, but when you walk into, what is it, the Baskin-Robbins illustration?
Oh, the 31
flavors. 31 flavors, why not try them all? I guess what we're saying is that you don't necessarily...
friends with everybody.
You can sample them, but sampling does not... You don't think you need to commit to that flavor in order to sample it.
It doesn't mean that you're in a relationship. You could be friends with people.
Yeah. And,
as some's your friend, you get to know them.
You get to know them. Yeah.
You know what they're like.
You're sampling them. You don't need to commit to that one flavor if you're already sampling it. You don't have to commit to it. So I do encourage my students, especially, hold healthy relationships.
Meaning,
have lots of friends. Get to know tons of people. That's okay and that's safe. Why commit yourself to somebody when you may not be ready for that marriage reality or that next level? And it can cause a lot of, anxiety. It can cause a lot of pain. It can cause unnecessary, It can hurt friendships unnecessarily, I think.
Yeah, and I just think, when you spend time with somebody, even if it's not in a romantic sense, if you're spending time with them, you get to learn about them. You know who they are. You know what they like. You know what they don't like. You know what you like about them and what you don't like about them. And it helps you figure out what you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the first person you date is going to be the person that you marry. But I think when you date someone, you should have marriage in mind.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. Okay, and then our last point number 10, which is a huge one, is how do you know how do you know when this person is the one?
Yeah,
how do you know when this person is the one? This is the overall question that I always get. How do you know when this person is the one? Well, that's a power-packed one. I think there's a variety of things that really come into this question. I think the most simple response for me right up front is, before you can ever know if this person or if someone else is the one, you need to identify if you are the one. Are you developing yourself? Are you holding yourself to that level of responsibility, accountability, to be the type of person that someone would want to be with? That they would see you as somebody who could be the one for them. This doesn't mean that you're being fake with yourself and you're trying to make yourself into someone you don't need to be. It just means that you're being accountable to those parts of you that are your responsibility.
What you're saying is, if you know what you want in somebody, you need to make sure that you are that person as well.
Way better said. Yeah.
No. And then also, I think when the person is the one, in my opinion, when you can look at them and see maybe everything that you like about them and everything that's great and everything that's wonderful, but then also all of the things that maybe bother you or annoy you. And then you look at that person and you accept them as they are without any intention of changing them. If this person stayed the same as they are right now for forever, I would still pick them. I would still choose them, and I'm okay with it, I
think that's really good. When in college, I was in a dormitory, and we asked our RA who got engaged Like, dude, that's so crazy. Like, how did you know? You just made a lifelong commitment to this, like, girl. Like, how did you know? And his answer was, like, super genuine. He was just like, well, like, I like her. Like, I love being with her to the point where I would propose to her. But he also said, like, what sealed the deal for me is I took the most frustrating and difficult parts of her, and I asked myself, could I commit to those parts of her for the rest of my life? Like, for the long haul. Like, you know, when you run a marathon, like, I always turn back to running for illustrations, like, your body's feeling all sorts of things. You're not always going to feel healthy. Like, your right knee could start hurting. Your left calf, there could be pain there. Your foot could be cramping, right? But as you know your end goal, when you see literally for the long run, when you see it, could you mitigate those things? Are you able to work through some of those things? Are they, you know, could you commit to the worst parts of that person?
And then I think you choose them.
Yeah.
And then I think you choose them again, and you choose them again, and you choose them again after that, and you literally choose to choose. Yeah. Like, you choose that you will choose this person again and again and again and again and again.
Choose
I
to
think
choose.
so.
Yeah, I think that is the ultimate answer to this question, is if they are the one because simply you've chosen them. They are the chosen one. I think that's simply what it is. Because you have chosen them, then they are the one. That's it. And then you need to commit to making sure that they are the one in the way you're thinking, and the way you guys are connecting, and your relationship and your marriage and that reality. You do it simply by continually choosing. This isn't that fake it till you make it stuff. Like, this isn't that, like, I've chosen them, now I gotta fake wanting to be with them. It's now you're literally, guys, people undervalue marriage so much, or underestimate it. It's literally, you need to, like, the two are becoming one. It is your responsibility, in my opinion, to begin to reorient your life to make sure that you have a marriage that is strong and healthy, and where both people are happy. I think that's your responsibility, because you chose that person. You have a responsibility to give your best to that marriage, because you're choosing to be with them. Apart from everybody in the world, you're choosing them. It's like if you could choose that one thing to be good at for the rest of your life and pour all your energy into it and be the best at it, that's marriage. When you're choosing that person, you're investing in them, and you're choosing to bring the best and be the best for them.
Well, and if you're both committed to that, like if Zach is committed to be the best version of himself for me, and I'm committed to be the best version of myself for him, then it's like, we're both receiving, you know what I mean? No one's empty, no one's depleted.
That's a very good point.
You've chosen that person. That person's also choosing you.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, you gotta choose each other. So whoever you choose, make sure they're gonna choose you back.
And this is kind of like, because I want to make sure that this is healthy, because now we're getting into marriage more so than dating.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're kind of going a different route here. But for those of you, especially if you're contemplating marriage, this doesn't mean that you're always sacrificing yourself, your individuality on the altar of marriage. This doesn't mean that you're sacrificing everything in your life to make sure that you're trying to make this marriage or this relationship complete. There's this book by Dr. Gary Chapman that's beautiful, The 5 Love Languages, and that, I think, simplifies it, which is you need to make sure that both of you, like your love tanks, if love was like a tank in a car that you have to put gasoline into, all of us have love tanks. You need to make sure that each of you is pouring, into. And I think when mine's full and when hers full, we're both happy, and we're able to better make sure that we're making our marriage the best that it could be. It's an enjoyable experience.
And you can still chase your own goals and dreams. Yeah. It just means that you have someone else supporting you, cheering you on, helping you get there, alongside you. You
shouldn't be sacrificing your individuality at the cost of dating. So I think that's huge.
Cool. Well, those were all 10 of our tips. So 10 tips for 10 years.
Yes. I hope they're helpful to you. I hope they're insightful. I hope they weren't confusing in any way. That's why I'm a teacher, because I talk so much in roundabout ways sometimes, but that's why we have Alicia here. She's like way good at clarifying things. So thank you guys so much for dropping in. We appreciate it. Let us know if there's anything you would like to hear in the future. We love marriage. We love love. That's what Alicia always says.
Love love.
She loves love. And so, we'll make it happen. Thank you guys.
Yeah. And once again, lastly, if you thought that Zach said anything interesting
or not
all in the last, 3 videos. Go check out his podcast. PZ Does It. He also has a blog that corresponds with that podcast where Zach talks about his interests, interesting topics. He interviews different interesting people. And you can also find those at ZacharySurovec.com.
We appreciate it.